Yeah, I think it surprised us all really. Bouncing back after a loss to Sydney that could have gone either way, but I'm just pleased the boys bounced back and didn't go into their shells a bit, because you never know with a young group what's going to happen from a loss like that. But today's performance was extremely pleasing for the Essendon supporters and members, and also the people inside the club.
You're talking about surprise, but obviously there's a pleasant surprise in the fact you bounced back from what must have been a very gut-wrenching loss last week. But
yeah,
the whole rebuilding, the whole way it's gone about, everyone saw in the NAB Cup it was happening at pace, but has that really surprised you, like how well you've gone into a very, very good loss?
Surprised, yes. That we're able to win by that amount. I think that the guys, it's good for the guys to get reward for their hard work, and that's what they've gotten. You can just see guys learning every week, and that was, as I talk about the Sydney game, the most pleasing part of tonight was there's some things we didn't do in Sydney that we wanted to improve on, and they got those right really early. And when you talk about trying to, whether you win or lose is really important, because the week and the build-up and the supporters is really important. But when you talk about long-term improvement, if you've got players who learn out on the field and learn from mistakes and learn from the previous weeks, it makes it a lot easier to coach. And I think why we're pleased is that we saw them make some mistakes last week, and this week they got those mistakes right. And yes, there's a lot more to work on, but that's why it's really pleasing from my end.
Did you do anything during the week to make sure they didn't get too discouraged after last week, especially the game that's there win last week?
I think we're just very honest with them as to why we lost, and that we did a lot of things right. You don't lose by 5 points and not do a lot of things right. You do a lot of things right, and we lost, and now we've got to do what we didn't do right better, and that's what we talked about. But it was too early to really go too hard at them. That'll come later.
It must be rough with the depth of the club, though. I mean, to have a guy like Tom Beltran who's coming inside, and Drew Kamiri basically come from nowhere and perform like he did tonight.
Yeah, I think both those guys, great credit to their pre-seasons, and in my time in football you have a really good pre-season and it stands you in good stead for a good season, and both Tom and Stu worked really hard over pre-season. Different types of players, but Stu's probably come from absolutely nowhere, where Tommy's been around for a while, and he's still got a lot to learn, Tom, but he's showing some really good signs at the moment.
Yes, stoppage has been a big focus for you since you come in there, because you got quite a few goals from those tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
goals from stoppages are a real bonus, because the ball sort of spills out and it's hard to get those goals from stoppages, but it means that you're putting good forward pressure on when you're getting those goals from stoppages. We got beaten in the clearances last week, and you talk about areas we want to improve. Well, that was a big area that we focused on during the week, so it is very pleasing to get that right.
What did you make of Goddard going to Joe at the start? Were you expecting anything like that, or were you expecting to sit more of a tagger on him?
We set a tagger. We set Buddha Hocking or Heath Hocking to play on Goddard, but when you've got a player as talented as Goddard who can play anywhere around the ground, it's very hard to know exactly where he's going to sit. And he's, along with Adam Goods and Goddard and maybe there's a couple of others, they're very hard to play on because they can play anywhere on the ground. So, he went and sat on Joe, and I think Joe handled that pretty well.
The improvement of Heath Hocking, does that surprise you? Mentioned surprise, but since you came from outside the club to within the club, has there been one that's really shocked you with how much he's improved? Because he's fantastic.
Yeah, I played, I think, a couple of years with Heath, and he wasn't a senior player then. But the one thing that I left the club with the knowledge that this guy works on his game as hard as anyone that I've seen. And when you've got that character and you're willing to listen and learn from the people that are teaching you, there's a good chance you'll get there and put someone in a good system. And he's been a good player for 2 or 3 years now. It's no surprise that he's getting even better, and congratulations to him on the way the football he's playing.
Another guy you play with, James, Dustin Fletcher. Can you describe just how outstanding he is? Because he just does it week in, week out. Was probably your second best player today after Joe.
Yeah, he's a star. Dustin Fletcher is an absolute star. There's no doubt about it. He has been for 340 or I'm not sure how many games he's played, but for all those games. And I know Kevin Sheedy saw him as his most important player when he was coaching. It'd be hard to say he's not our most important player. So at 36, 35, he's a star, and there's no other way to put it.
Has his relationship with you changed? I mean, you coming in as coach now, or do you just approach him similarly to when you were a player?
Approach him pretty similarly. I suppose you're a bit more distant from the players, but no, it hasn't changed a lot. But it's pretty hard to coach Dustin Fletcher. He knows what to do, and as much as anything, he's telling us what's happening out in the field and trying to help us as how things are happening out in the field, because it's hard to tell up in the box as well.
James, you've beaten 2 of last season's top 4 this season now. The expectations are going to rise now, you know that. What do? You bring the fire hose out and hose them down, or try and keep the lid on? Or do you just soak up, enjoy it and try and work?
I think the reality is that Essendon beat Western Bulldogs and St Kilda pretty early last year as well. The thing for us is consistency of performance, and next week in 6 days, or in 6 days' time, we play Carlton, and we need to perform to that level to give ourselves a chance. And unless we do that, we'll always be seen as a club who has really good highs but pretty big lows as well. So we're after consistency, and we're coming after this week to put another performance like that on the board.
James, if Hill comes back next week, which I presume there's a chance, what would you do with Bill Chambers?
I'd have no issue playing all 3, Tom, Hilly and Paddy. I think that Paddy gives you great flexibility of playing forward and back, and so does David, whereas Tom's more traditional ruckman, and we would have absolutely no hesitation playing all 3 if all 3 deserved a game. We've got to be a little bit careful with David. He's now had a slow pre-season and only played 1 game or 2 games back before he got that slight injury. So we'll just look after David and make sure we've got a full season player rather than a guy who comes in for 2 weeks and get injured. And we'll go back and have a look at how we prepare him. But he's every chance to play, and it'd be interesting to play all 3 of them.
Have you got any injury concerns like that?
We had a lot of cramp.
Primary soon, though.
Yeah, he cramped in his groin, but he did that 2 weeks ago and came up for the game. So there's no, and he came back on and played the game out. No, I think that everyone's pretty good. I mean, we subbed Angus Momfries just because he was coming off an injury, had a week off, and we just wanted to look after him, which we're lucky enough we're in a position we're able to do. So he's fine. I'm sure things will show up during the week like they seem to do every week, but I'm pretty positive that we've come out of that with no injuries.
Just at the end there, I don't know if you saw that Rewalt didn't shake with his hand, or many of the boys. Are you aware of anything that went on there?
No, I'm not. I asked Hooksy if anything was said. He said no, so looks like nothing. I mean, look, you're disappointed when you lose, and that's what happens. But I'm sure that'll be left between the players. If anything did happen, I'm pretty sure it didn't. Thanks, guys.